Hello everyone, my name is Cherie. In this video, I'll be sharing with you what I watched in the month of May. In honor of Asian American Heritage Month, as well as Jewish American Heritage Month, I watched many films about these cultures. But before we get into the features, here are the shorts. In an effort to watch a narrative film from every year, I viewed 4 silent movies on YouTube: The Pillar of Fire from 1899, The Little Train Robbery from 1905, Under the Seas from 1907, and The Sealed Room from 1909. For Pillar of Fire, director Georges Méliès took inspiration from the adventure novel She, where the title character stands in flames. The Little Train Robbery was directed by Edwin S. Porter and is a parody of his own 1903 film The Great Train Robbery, recast with child actors. The kids all seemed to be having a ball, and it reminded me of when I made my own Super 8 movies when I was little. Under the Seas is Georges Méliès's parody of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It follows a fisherman who dreams he takes a submarine to the bottom of the ocean, where he encounters a variety of strange sea creatures. The Sealed Room, directed by D.W. Griffin, takes inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe and is a buried alive story. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is Walt Disney's 1954 version of the Jules Verne classic, in which a trio of men embark on a mission to hunt down a giant sea monster. Having just read the novel a few months ago, I found it interesting to see what was changed in the name of cinematic storytelling. All in all, I thought this adaptation was good. However, I was disappointed that Captain Nemo was not Indian as he was written in the book. He was instead played by English actor James Mason. 20,000 Leagues was one of the first feature-length motion pictures to be filmed in CinemaScope, and it ushered in the steampunk aesthetic. Kirk Douglas performs the sea shanty-ish A Whale of a Tale that was a favorite in my high school choir. If you haven't seen this movie before, I would definitely recommend it. Abominable from 2019 is a DreamWorks animation. 3 teenagers must help a Yeti escape Shanghai and return to his family on Mount Everest. This beautiful fantasy film is a third-time watch for me. The Chinese locations are gorgeous, and the magical and musical moments of this movie pluck at my heartstrings. A definite recommend for any animation lovers. Anote's Ark is a 2018 Canadian film documenting the impact of climate change on the island nation of Kiribati. Anote refers to the country's former president, Anote Tong, who lobbied the UN to take action. This is an easy watch, short documentary. I feel sad for the people of Kiribati who are losing their land due to circumstances out of their control. By the year 2100, the country of Kiribati will be completely submerged underwater. Crazy Rich Asians from 2018 is a co-production between the US and Singapore. It follows a Chinese-American professor who travels to meet her boyfriend's family and is surprised to discover they are among the richest in Singapore. Since her boyfriend is considered the most eligible bachelor in Asia, every woman is jealous of the protagonist and wants to bring her down. This is my 3rd or 4th watch and is one of only a handful of rom-coms I own. It's extremely entertaining. We studied the mahjong scene in one of my film classes, and the director is a Silicon Valley native like myself. In 2008's Departures, a failed cellist takes work as a nokanshi, or traditional ritual mortician. He faces prejudice from those around him, including his wife, because of strong social taboos against people who deal with death. I loved this film and cried at the end. It won the Oscar for Best Foreign Film at the 81st Academy Awards. I highly recommend it. 1975's Dersu Uzala was a co-production between the Soviet Union and Japan that revitalized director Akira Kurosawa's career. Based on true events, it is a portrait of the friendship that grows between an aging hunter and a Russian surveyor in the forests of eastern Siberia. This film won the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film at the 48th Academy Awards. The title character was rumored to have been the inspiration for George Lucas's beloved creation, Yoda. Personally, I enjoy the characters, but the filmmaking style is primarily wide shots and long takes, which can be a bit monotonous. However, this film is a definite must-watch for Kurosawa fans. The Doll from 2016 is an Indonesian horror film. Eerie things begin to happen after a man gives his wife a doll, unaware it once belonged to a girl who was murdered. Okay, you've seen this story before. Evil haunted doll wreaks havoc on unsuspecting final girl. But this version was just good, dumb fun. I really enjoyed watching it. If creepy dolls are your thing, definitely check it out. Eagle vs. Shark was New Zealand filmmaker Taika Waititi's first feature, released in 2007. And it was the last of his 7 films that I needed to see. It's the tale of 2 socially awkward misfits and the strange ways they tried to find love. It was co-written by the lead actress Lauren Horsley. This film Waititi's so hard. If you enjoy his brand of humor, you'll love this film. Nominated for Best Picture earlier this year, The Fabelmans from 2022 is about an up-and-coming filmmaker as he discovers the power of cinema. It's about Steven Spielberg. This was my second watch, and I loved it even more than the first time I watched it. My favorite characters were actually the 2 that had the least screen time, Judd Hirsch's crazy uncle and David Lynch as director John Ford. I laughed out loud when, in place of an actor, a dummy was tossed over a cliff, because my friends and I did the same thing for one of our Super 8 movies back in the day, although it was a deck and not a cliff. The Fabelmans was also nominated for Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, Best Actress, and Best Supporting Actor, but was bested by Everything Everywhere All at Once. Any true fan of Spielberg's films should watch this movie. Footnote from 2011 explores the troubled relationship between a father and son who are both professors in the Talmud department at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. This was Israel's entry for Best Foreign Language Film at the 84th Academy Awards, and though it received a nomination, it lost to Iran's entry, A Separation. This is my second watch, so of course I love it and would highly recommend it. It's a bit quirky, it has a great script, and has even been adapted into a 2022 French film called Maestro. The Garden of the Finzi Continis from 1970 won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. It was also nominated for Best Screenplay based on material from another medium. This film recounts the fall of a Jewish family during Mussolini's rise in Italy during World War II. Vittorio De Sica, famous for the classic Bicycle Thieves, directed this heartbreaking historical drama. It really feels like a 70s film. The opening has many zooms, which were used a lot in the 70s. It's filled with camera movements, sometimes a distracting amount, but I enjoyed the story as it unfolded on the unsuspecting, privileged characters. The last scene was devastating, and the last shot made me cry. Gentleman's Agreement from 1947 won the Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Supporting Actress. It follows a journalist who pretends he's Jewish in order to write an expose on widespread anti-Semitism in New York City. This was my second watch, and I have to say it's a bit forgettable. I liked the story, I liked the actors, but I'd be hard-pressed to tell you even now a beat-by-beat breakdown of the film. 2012's Hotel Transylvania is an animated family comedy about Count Dracula, who throws a birthday party for his daughter at his Hotel for Monsters. Everything goes as planned until a human boy accidentally stumbles across the property. This was really sweet, maybe a bit too many gross-out gags for my taste, but still, it was a fun, easy watch. Chang-E from 2023 is not a classic AI run-amok film, but it's close enough that I thoroughly enjoyed it. A few shots even paid homage to iRobot, one of my favorites of the genre. This film centers on a scientist who fuses artificial intelligence with her mother's brain to build an unbeatable combat warrior. The film was directed by Yeon Sang-ho, who directed my favorite zombie film, 2016's Train to Busan. While I prefer Train to Busan over Chang-E, I really enjoyed watching this movie and look forward to the director's next offering. 2016's Kubo and the Two Strings is a stop-motion animated action fantasy about a young boy on a quest for a magical suit of armor. I love this movie. I own it on DVD. If the premise sounds interesting, then please give it a watch. Kumu Hula, Keepers of a Culture is a 1989 documentary which examines Hawaiian dance traditions since 500 AD. Performances were filmed on all 6 major Hawaiian islands. I love the instruments that provide the rhythmic accompaniment, as well as the beautiful costumes. This was my 3rd or 4th watch of this lovely dance documentary. For anyone interested in Hawaiian culture or dance, this is a definite must-watch. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen from 2003 takes place in an alternate Victorian age, where a group of famous fantasy, science fiction, and adventure characters team up. This movie received bad reviews, but this is my 4th watch, so the filmmakers must have done something right. The plot's forgettable, but the characters are fun. Kudos to this film for casting an actual Indian actor to portray Captain Nemo. So although I can't technically recommend this film, the reviews were really not kind. I think people who enjoy literature and adventure might have a fun time watching it. Like a Rolling Stone, The Life and Times of Ben Fong Torres is a 2022 documentary about the legendary rock journalist who helped define an era with his interviews and editorials in Rolling Stone magazine. My introduction to him was through the Cameron Crowe movie Almost Famous, and the director makes an appearance here interviewing the world-famous interviewer. If you like documentaries, you'll probably enjoy this one. It's currently on Netflix. Lilo and Stitch is a 2002 Disney animation. A parentless girl adopts a dog from the local pound, unaware that it's really an alien experiment hiding on Earth from its creators. I remember loving this the first time I saw it in theaters. On rewatch, it didn't hold up as well for me. I found the alien bad guys annoying, and the script wasn't tight like, say, one written by Pixar. I probably won't watch it again. Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom from 2019, was nominated for Best International Feature. It was the country of Bhutan's first Oscar-nominated film. The story follows a young man who would rather be a singer in Australia than a teacher in Bhutan. However, he is sent to the most remote school in the world, a glacial Himalayan village called Lunana, to complete his service. This was filmed on location using non-professional actors from the actual village. It's one of those charming, heartwarming movies that makes you cry at the end. I'm giving it 4 stars and not 5 for the following 2 reasons. Number 1, a scene showing the main character urinating. I'm really tired of seeing this in movies. And number 2, a scene featuring yak dung. It's played for laughs, but I just didn't like it. Otherwise, this is one of the best films I saw in May, and I would definitely recommend it to everyone. Monster Run is a 2020 Chinese fantasy adventure currently on Netflix. A young woman with the ability to seize monsters teams up with a monster hunter and soon discovers her greater calling. I started watching this in Cantonese, which had the word original in brackets, but noticed the lips were out of sync. I switched to Mandarin and everything matched up. I have mixed feelings about this movie. It was entertaining enough to keep me watching. It's a standard The One story, but the action wasn't the caliber of, say, a Spielberg or Cameron film. I'd say it was a fun, forgettable ride. 1981's Outland stars Sean Connery as a federal marshal stationed on one of Jupiter's moons. There he uncovers a drug smuggling conspiracy within the mining colony. I watched this because it supposedly had something to do with unions, but I was misinformed. It's billed as a futuristic remake of High Noon, but it was not my cup of tea. I found it a bit messy. The best thing about the film was the character of Dr. Lazarus, played by Frances Sternhagen. She was awesome. A Schoolgirl's Diary is really well-made North Korean propaganda. The 2006 film depicts a teenager's struggle to understand her father's devotion to his country and to scientific achievement at the expense of his own family's happiness. In the end, she realizes how selfish she has been only after her father makes a major breakthrough in his scientific research and is lavish with praise for his self-sacrifice and devotion to the state. Wow. This led me down a rabbit hole researching North Korea's filmmaking industry, and there's some really interesting stuff on YouTube about it. The filmmaking here is solid, but for some reason, not what I was expecting. There's never a dull moment. A definite watch for those who are curious about what this closed-off country can produce. Shiva Baby from 2021 is about a young Jewish woman who runs into her sugar daddy along with his wife and child at a shiva. This is classified as a comedy, but it's really a horror. The atonal soundtrack amps up the feeling of unease. It overflows with claustrophobic close-ups and handheld camera shots, which remind me of the films Mother and Spencer. Great screenplay, great acting, great direction. I can't wait to see what the filmmaker comes up with next. Tana is a 2015 Australia ni Vanuatu film set on the island of Tana in the South Pacific. It depicts the true story of a couple who decides to marry for love rather than obey their parents' wishes. Tana was the first film to be shot entirely on location in Vanuatu and was the Australian entry for the Best Foreign Language Film at the 89th Academy Awards. The cast was made up of non-professional actors from the island, and the crew consisted of the director and cinematographer. Although this is a culturally significant film, it's not one I'd watch again. The pacing is too slow and the subject matter uninteresting to me. This year's You People shows how families and cultures clash when two millennials from different backgrounds fall in love. On paper, this looks great. However, the execution lacks the punch the premise promises. I love all the actors. I just wish the script had been tighter and the direction had been more cinematic. For die-hard lovers of the cast only. And that was it. In summary, I watched 30 films in May of 2023. 4 of the movies were shorts and 26 were features. 21 were new to me and 9 were rewatches. 10 were non-English language films. I heart these ones the most. Thank you for joining me for my May wrap-up. June is Caribbean American Heritage Month, as well as LGBT Pride Month. Until next time, happy viewing.